What do you think the Chinese diplomatic corps are doing right now to prepare for a policy of reciprocation, which Trump will likely take on?
You mean besides spying on and tapping all
Oh,
the
yeah, there's all
phones
that
and
status quo
reading
stuff.
all the emails of everybody? I mean, the
Exactly.
Chinese diplomatic corps isn't doesn't do anything without instructions from Beijing.
Right.
And when they go into negotiations, they're just reading from a script. It's, if you remember the Ferris Bueller class where the students are just kind of sitting there bored to
Yep.
tears. Well, that's what it's like to sit in a meeting with a high Chinese official. It's just mind-numbingly boring because they're just reading a script. They have no independent
Right.
course of action. Um, I actually think that China's in quite a weak position right now vis-a-vis the United States. And President Trump is very serious about the tariff threat because he sees it as a tool of economic statecraft. And if Beijing were canny, I think they do what they did in the first term, which is wrap the administration up in fruitless talks for 3 years, sign a document, and then ignore it. And
Yep.
so, what I've always counseled, whether it was the secretary or other officials, and now what I do for clients, is to say, stop listening to the happy talk about the future. Look at data, look at history, look at everything that's been signed, and ask yourself, has the Chinese side adhered to anything they've signed ever? And if they haven't, which by the way they haven't, what makes you think you're so different and special that you're going to be the one that comes down from, let me see if I can get the light to come on high, um, and magically makes this all work. And you have to understand why they behave that way. They
Hmm.
behave that way because it's a Marxist-Leninist regime that relies on a single individual to run the whole thing. And so that's really who has, by the way, I think a middle school education. So that's what you're
Yep.
dealing with.
Yep.
And if you think that they're somehow focused on, boosting consumption, well, they're never going to let consumers have too much power. They don't want the Chinese citizenry to rise up and demand change and have a voice. That's not happening. So when I hear economists talking about, you really need to move to a consumer-led economy and all of this nonsense, sure, to a degree, but it's only so that they can maintain, social stability, so they don't have riots in the streets and a
Right.
challenge to their control. That's really, I'm not saying that there isn't some form of, economic calculation there.
Yep.
I'm just saying that you need to place it in a framework of the politics of the place, which is all about control and power for Xi Jinping and for the very small cadre of people around him.